Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. If you are panic selling here, I just want you to know that you're playing with fire. Now, that's not me telling you what you should or shouldn't do, buy, sell, hold. You do you. I'm just telling you my personal opinion here, and this is in the face of acknowledgement that there are tons of chart analysts that are warning that things are about to get much worse. Although some say things are about to get much worse before they get better. So it's kind of interesting. So I haven't seen, I don't think any of the analysts, at least not that I've seen it, I don't think any of the analysts that I follow have flipped to, oh yeah, that actually is the end of the bull market. I haven't seen any of that. But there are some, there are at least a few that are like, they seem neutral. They seem less confident in their positions. But the rest of them still say, yeah, we're probably going to see some more red, some more movement to the downside before things do get better. So it's interesting to take each individual analyst, well-respected analysts that have a good hit rate, and then take the totality of their opinions and see what do most of them think. Because frequently what most of them think is what comes to pass. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video at 6:22 p.m. Central Time, Friday, September 6th, 2024, XRP is at 52 cents, down nearly 4% over the last 24 hours. I will note that it did get down to 50 cents. Just like, what time was this? 4:00, yeah, okay, so a little over 2 hours ago, like 4:05 p.m. Central. It's my time zone again. Not what you prefer if you're looking for a landing on the moon. I understand that. Bitcoin at $53,786. But Nick got as low as $52,772. Now, I will note that if you watched my video that I posted about 24 hours ago, I was warning that I saw many analysts calling for exactly this move in the short term. So if you saw that, you're probably not surprised, and it probably makes it a little bit easier to emotionally deal with the fact that your net worth has gone down over the 24-hour period. Look, actually, I'm going to mention one more thing before we get into. By the way, this video is not all doom and gloom, just to be clear. But the Crypto Fear and Greed Index is at 22 out of 100, so market participants are in extreme fear today. Not surprising given how far this has gone down, although it updates once every 24 hours. Probably going to be lower. I wouldn't be surprised anyway because there's another 36 minutes until it updates. But I want to remind you something, and I won't belabor the point because I've gone in depth on this in recent days, but I just want to make sure everybody is aware of this. You should expect that September is bad for crypto markets and for the stock market, because historically that is indeed the case. So when probability tells you that you should expect something, and then that thing that probability tells you you should expect does happen, does it make sense to start sucking your thumb, curl up in a ball on the floor, get in the fetal position and cry? Like, does it make sense? I would argue no. We've had many bad Septembers, and so here's the Crypto Rank website. And it shows that Bitcoin, which of course leads the market, in September, you can see for the 13 data points that we have for full years dating back to 2011, 10 out of 13 months for Bitcoin ended up in the red. Now we know that crypto and the stock market move in tandem. Here you can see this chart. It was shared in an article from Inc. But they pulled data from BMO Capital Markets, which reported, and you can see it's worth looking at the chart if you haven't seen this yet. It is amazing. Like, this is incredible, honestly. September is the only month where the S&P 500 is substantially down on average. On average, you should expect to have a bloody month, but it's the only one. Now, February's down a little bit on average, but barely. You can see I'm talking. But 0.7% down, the S&P 500. And this is dating back to 1948. But then what happens in October, November, and December? Way higher. Fourth quarter historically is the best quarter. So you're going through the bloody bits. And that's why when I started this video, I said, if you're panic selling here, I just want you to know you're playing with fire. This is why. If you're just playing probabilities and you had no other data, what would it make sense to think and feel and do? So you do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. I will tell you that I'm doing absolutely nothing. I'm not buying. I'm not selling. I'm just holding. That's what I do almost 100% of the time, is nothing. It's pretty easy. because I understand that the crypto pie gets bigger over time, even after multi-year bear markets, which is what it takes, to ultimately see more further climb. But I will not be surprised if this fourth quarter we see Bitcoin rally to the upside, hit a new all-time high. I won't be surprised if we have a massive altcoin rally, even though it seems very scary to people right now. And it's not a certainty. And of course, I'm an adult, so I acknowledge that. But if you're playing the odds, normally in these situations, things pick up. They just do. This is just data. Here's a post from chart analyst Dom at TraderView2. He posted this yesterday. The market looks truly ready to fall off a cliff, preparing for the worst until something drastically changes. And then, so that was yesterday. And then this afternoon he said, Bitcoin, there are really only two areas in my opinion. So he's watching $51,000 to $52,000. And then if that breaks, he's like, well, watch for $42,000 to $44,000. And there are lots of analysts warning we actually could see that. So then there's lots of debate over, okay, if it gets that low, does that mean the party's over? And a lot of analysts say, no, actually, we could go that lower and still the upside, but I'll let the analysts vigorously debate that one. Here's another post from him. He says, sellers are incredibly in control of this market. We'll continue to expect that until I can't anymore, something like a regain of $59,000. This is not a bullish structure in any manner, in my opinion. It just seems to me like prices barely holding on before nuking. Would love to be wrong. And that was another post from today. And he also said today, I don't understand all the bottom calls here. Pray it's not as bad as it looks it's going to be. Death spiral downtrend. Now, he doesn't normally post stuff that sounds quite as negative, but he is being intellectually honest so far as I can tell. He's just warning, hope it's not that bad, but it really could be. Although he did note also that some massive bids, so he wrote here, massive bids have shown up. Will they be enough to support for a bit longer, watching for absorption? There was this article. This is from the Crypto Basic. Brandt warns of Bitcoin megaphone pattern, predicts Bitcoin could test $46,000. Peter Brandt is one of the most famous analysts in all of crypto. His fame in crypto began, so far as I can see, when he called the very top of the market for Bitcoin in 2017. That he pretty much nailed it. Then he nailed the bottom of the Bitcoin bear market December of 2018, a year later. And so he's actually been a trader for literally over 50 years. He's made a career out of actually being a trader. And so, he's very well known here. And he's just warning here. I mean, here's the post from him. He says, there's a little chart on the screen here. He says, this is called an inverted expanding triangle or a megaphone. A test of the lower boundary would be to 46,000 or so. A massive thrust into new all-time highs is required to get this bull market back on track. Selling is stronger than buying in this pattern. So there's another. I'm just giving you examples of what people are saying, just so you can get a feel for this and what you might reasonably anticipate could occur in the short term, as well as a little bit of the long term, sure. Here's a post from chart analyst Dr. Magic. This is all the big higher time frame supply/demand zones we have. For 6+ months, we have been above this demand, which for me is massive because that's the one that started the bear market. If we fall below it, I will talk about lower targets. And so this is the first acknowledgement I'm seeing that, there's an if even. Before that, he hasn't even saying if such a thing happens. So that kind of stood out to me as well. But then look, Bitcoin leads the way. If it goes down, XRP goes down, everything else goes down. And I understand that this is the make it or break it moment. But, there are analysts that are anticipating that, we're at the edge of where something good has to happen, but it actually can. And here's another analyst, Bob Lucas. He's one of the most respected analysts, I'd argue, in crypto here. Not just crypto, 286,000 followers for a reason here. Here's a Bitcoin USD chart. Bob Lucas said, day 63 of the Bitcoin cycle, so should be looking for the bottom very soon here. No major selling volume as it retests this area for a third time. It becomes more of a question on what happens for intermediate term after a good bounce around late September. And so he seems to have a certain level of optimism. And the fact that he's saying late September, that doesn't sound surprising to me. Historically, we know that September is garbage for the markets. Stock market, crypto, it's absolute garbage. almost always, every time. You should expect this. So the fact that we're going through what the data would show us we should expect, you shouldn't be scratching your head in stunned amazement. You should expect this. It's just not fun. Like, it scares people, I get that, but you should it'd be weird if it didn't happen, right? And that would be something improbable. If we weren't suffering right now, that would be weird. That would be improbable. This month is trash. It just is. Chart analyst Jolly says, Bitcoin heading for a new test of the lows of the channel. If the rough September into bullish Q4 seasonality is to repeat, we probably form the monthly low around there and start grinding back up into full turbo around mid-October. Always the darkest before the dawn. Okay, that resonates with me. You don't have to be a chart guy to so he's talking about what he's seen in the charts, but in terms of if you just understand the big picture data, which a couple key things I just shared with you, I mean, that kind of lines up, doesn't it? There's this post from chart analyst Mikey Bull Crypto. Bitcoin on a bullish diamond reversal price pattern. This indicates the final short-term shakeout before an explosive rally heading into Q4. Bullish divergence is another added confluence. Okay, he's talking about Q4 here, how it's going to be explosive. The data shows us that the probability of that, on average, it's very high. So it would be, like I said a second ago, it would be weird if we weren't suffering right now through this terrible market, right? Crypto and stock market right now. It would be weird if we didn't have some glorious action in the fourth quarter. It's not unheard of, but if we're not going to have glorious price action in the fourth quarter, that would be an occurrence that is improbable. It could you can have the improbable, but what I'm saying is what is happening now you should expect, and so why wouldn't it be reasonable to suppose that we would have some fantastic price action in Q4? And as I mentioned before, it's worth repeating. I just want to bash you over the head with this stuff, but that's why I said it's not all doom and gloom. Just look big picture. These things happen, all right? And then you do have sudden breakouts. But when the S&P 500 hits a new all-time high, and it did for the first time since the bottom of the bear market, it hit a new all-time high in January this year. 12 of the last 13 times that happened, dating back to the 1950s. If you fast forward a year later, so that would be January of 2025, 12 out of those 13 times, it was up on average about 16%. Is this time different? I mean, it could be, but again, what is probable? And that's important because if the S&P is going to be way higher, what, crypto is just going to be like, no, I'm not going to correlate anymore. What is your thesis on that? Like, what? The markets move in tandem, son. We had this from Income Sharks. Bitcoin, if September isn't the local bottom, then it's probably time to move away from this structure. One more sub $50,000 move, and we go up in October. Otherwise, it's on to a new prediction. Pretty equal amount of top and bottom channel touches. And so here he's also acknowledging if we don't have this make or break month, if we don't have something happen here, it's time to reevaluate. And so I am seeing multiple analysts talk along those lines. I just haven't seen any of the analysts that I follow just flip into straight bear mode. But there's a lot of acknowledgement, like, this is the crap or get off the pot moment, basically. This is it. It's the make or break, right? The blockchain backer shared this chart, Bitcoin USD, and he wrote, Bitcoin just kissed its 50-week moving average again. And he noted, that's not good. Obviously. And he was also just talking about the importance of finally seeing expansion. This is that moment. It needs to happen very, very, very soon. I think he said within the next couple weeks or so. Maybe it was a slightly different timeline, but whatever it is, it's the make or break moment. And if we don't see some sort of expansion now, this will be literally the longest time without expansion, if it's going to go to the upside, that we've ever had in the history of the market. So it is that moment, and it is making people very nervous. I get that. And it is possible the improbable happens and we just continue to the upside. I'm just saying the data would show us, throw away the charts, just forget about the charts. If you didn't have a single chart and you just looked at the data and just went by that, it would tell you the probable thing as we move to the upside. But I'm just saying, yes, I acknowledge the improbable could happen, in which case maybe we're in trouble, but I'm not counting on that. I'm not going to lose sleep over this. I don't think that's what's likely. Look, having been here almost 7 years, I've seen plenty of tight moments that are just as scary looking as this. With just as much certainty amongst the reputable chart guys, I've seen this stuff before. And it tends to shake out just fine. It ultimately does. Things work out. In worst case scenario, markets come back, even if it's a few years, and we still get ours. I'm not selling. You guys do whatever you want. I'm going to hold regardless. Here's a post from Mustache, hashtag altcoins. Bitcoin dominance is close to a point where it is really no longer worth being bearish on altcoins. Max opportunities here, in my opinion. The most bullish quarter is just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Look, there's a reason that he has 133,000 followers on X. So when he says, and this is a fact, it's like indisputable fact, the most bullish quarter is just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Correct. The data supports that. The data supports what he just said there. So I ain't going to be crying. Okay, I'm just saying. So I understand, yes, things perhaps are about to get much worse in the short term. And perhaps there's truth to that. But I don't see why it isn't reasonable to just sit back, relax, wait to see how this plays out, see if we do get that expansion, and then anticipate, because what is most likely is a fantastic Q4. And XRP is a part of this market. So yes, XRP has been down like I shared with you at the start of the video, but there's nothing wrong with XRP. It's just the market. It moves in tandem. It's going to keep doing that. The stock market moves in tandem. It always has. And sure, in a more mature market, I think that various cryptocurrencies, the fundamentals and ecosystems are going to matter a lot more, and that will impact price to a greater degree. But markets are still always going to move in tandem. Sure. Honestly, I kid you not, like, I'm still excited for the future. Why the hell would I not be? Because there's a bad month when we should expect there's a bad month. Ooh, I'm scared. No, I'm not scared. Come on. Everything's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say, all right? That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.